Well, first of all, thanks to the contestants, Adam and Chris, for obviously putting yourself out here. Chris, this is your second match on Real Tennis in a pretty short amount of time. I think about a month, right? A
couple weeks,
as soon as this video comes out. And Adam, you were featured on Essential Tennis, and this is your first real tennis match, technically speaking, but obviously the same setup.
Yeah.
And, again, thanks for coming out here and doing your thing. But first of all, Chris, I just want to ask, were you expecting that type of mental and physical fatigue, even though you've seen Adam play on your YouTube account, your phone screen, your computer screen? Because you knew what you're going up against, at least from a third-person perspective.
Well, I had, last minute, notice from you, hey, you're playing a match in a week. And so I actually, an hour before I came here, I did watch a little bit.
Okay.
I didn't watch that much. So I don't think I was, I really knew what I was in for in that one. I really appreciate that game though, because that's like my type of game is grinding those points. And as I was saying earlier, I'm getting back into it now, but I haven't had those 3 or 4 times a week singles matches. So I got out here 2 games in, and I'm gassed. And
2 games in.
I was not gassed 2 games in, but I'm like feeling it. That first game when I got that break, I'm just like, man, if I could do this for the first point was like 25 rallies.
Yeah.
But apparently you can keep that up all day. So
no, man.
I have a huge appreciation for that level of like physical endurance.
That probably makes one of us here. Everybody else hates it, but
I just talk about that kind of game.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Whole time.
No, thank
Can't
you.
wait to hear the comments later.
Yeah.
Adam, I know that you obviously have other activities such as training for boxing that you haven't scheduled yet, but please let us know about that.
Yeah.
How are you feeling throughout the entire match in terms of not just fitness, which obviously is not a problem for you, but I would argue Chris is probably the second most fit player that I know around this level in tennis. How did you feel comfort-wise on like how the ball was coming off your strings, how you were moving your feet from the baseline? Were you feeling pretty good?
Yeah, I felt pretty good. I felt like I was moving pretty well. At 36, you kind of never really know, how you're going to be moving, and I felt like I was.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah, you 36 too. Yeah, congrats.
I'm 38, but
Okay. Yeah, so I was feeling good, and I didn't think I was going to be in such of a grind match, to start, just kind of based off the warm up. I thought Chris was going to be kind of bringing more to the net, and so I was a little surprised that we were started out just grinding, So I didn't really want to do much of that either. So like, I was also feeling it, and so like I did make it a point to try and serve and volley where I could, and just shorten the points, where I could, and I realized I needed to try and come in a little bit more because I didn't want to hit 30 ball rallies every point, really.
Seems like you do.
It worked out okay.
I
guess you kind of just took us through what you were thinking about going through the match, but any thoughts on you like seeing him play on YouTube, and like what was your kind of game plan going in, and how were you going to attack him?
Going in, so I had just switched to the new Pure Arrow, and I just wanted it to feel okay off the strings, and I really thought the ball felt good off the strings. You guys probably saw I would just miss these little backhands where I was just trying to push it back. Later in the match, I found it, and it started to feel better. But as far as going against Adam's game, I just I was just trying to. I want to pound the backhand side. That's my goal. But it's hard because his angles were crazy. Mm-hmm. I mean, he was moving me back and forth. Once you got dialed in, you missed a couple balls that were probably like an inch wide, and I called it, and I'm like, oh, I hope I didn't hook him on it. But because I always struggle with calling those. But I mean, the placement was just so good. It seemed like when you really wanted to make a shot and hit a spot, you could. And obviously, a few games in, I saw what you were doing with the deuce side serve and volley, going out wide on me, and then it opens up the tee for you. Mm-hmm. That's just smart tennis because you see how far back I'm playing. So obviously, you can kick it short, wide. Overall, I mean, and then you served and volleyed a bit at the end, and it worked out. Yeah, I can't outgrind you, so I don't know.
Good player, man. It was a
I
lot
don't
of
know
fun.
what else to do except try to just make more balls and miss a little less.
In
That's all I can-
hindsight, is there anything you would do differently?
Try to be a little more aggressive, probably
Okay.
come to the net, like you guys were saying. You know, I never think of myself as much of a volleyer, but the volleys have been feeling okay lately. So maybe should have tried hitting to the sidelines and coming in, or maybe even chipping and coming in. I know you gave me a few just easy putaways where I thought for sure you were going to lob me and I was going to have to run back and hit a tweener, but instead it was right there. Maybe
Yeah.
I should have
Have
done
to
that.
hit a tweener.
I'm obligated.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
It's part of my real tennis contract. I can't
Okay.
just run it down.
Oh man, they're
That's the only
paying you?
reason you guys are going to have me on. So
Checks in the mail.
appreciate it.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, I was kind of. Other than that, I was kind of just. I was kind of puzzled, to be honest. I didn't really know how to. I mean, I felt good about my game,
Yeah, you played well.
and I was still struggling just to hold. So
Every game was a battle. I mean, it wasn't really a 3-in-1 match.
You had a few 40 love service games.
Yeah, I mean, every it didn't feel like it though. Like, yeah, you great player, man. It's a lot of fun to play that kind of style. So it was good time.
Question for Adam. I think it's pretty apparent as an opponent that you totally destroyed me. A commentator and also a fan of YouTube original tennis content like this. You guys should hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. You prefer your backhand in almost every single situation possible in singles. But towards the second set, me and Ira were noticing that you're hitting the forehand angles from like in no man's land because you're creeping in to Chris's short angle backhand a lot more in the second set. Were you conscious of that? Did you make an apparent conscious effort to, play that short angle to get him out wide so it opens up down the line for you?
Yeah, I was definitely trying to whip forehands, short and cross court because I love the forehand lefty slice combo. I just feel really comfortable hitting forehands off of a slice coming out of that corner. So yeah, like it almost felt like we were just like drilling at some points because it was like a cross court rally for like 20 balls in a row.
Yep.
But yeah, eventually I'd try and zing one to the other corner. That's what I was looking for. I kept thinking that he was going to think that I was going to do that, so then I would keep going back to that corner, and so it was kind of like a little bit of like a chess match almost. Too.
Oh, yeah. I think singles tennis is a chess match. Like, what can you bring to the table that can expose your opponent's weakness and expose your strengths to a certain extent? And you obviously did a very good job at that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah.
So obviously being a lefty, you tried to hit to his backhand. Was there any part of you that felt that at some point like it wasn't going in your favor? Like, because we've all played Adam, and we know that Adam's backhand is better and more consistent and more stable than his forehand. His forehand's a little bit loopier, a little bit shorter. Is there any point where you're like, oh, maybe I can try, hitting forehands to his forehand and maybe getting some shorter balls? Or like, I found it, playing Adam and knowing this, like, oh, it's so obvious. But in the moment, it's a lot harder to do that. So like, what were your thought processes when it came to like attacking his backhand or attacking his forehand? Like if you had a mid-court ball that was short, like how did you decide what side to hit to?
So a lot of times I try to hit the higher balls inside out to the to his forehand side.
Okay.
But as far as his backhand being actually stronger than his forehand, I actually just found that out in a post-match interview on Real Tennis when Ira told me. So good to know.
You're welcome.
And yeah, that's what I probably should have done. I didn't even know that. I saw him play a little bit. I watched a couple points. May should have done more research. But yeah, it really. I was trying to pound that backhand side, and
well, that's what lefties do. That's what you're taught to do is like hit cross court and heavy.
And I love my down the line. It's a shorter shot.
On your forehand or your backhand?
I loved it the forehands down the line. I'm fine with it. I do enough of it in doubles. So maybe should have done more of that and tried to get into the net maybe, and then maybe caught those short balls. But the one thing I do want to say, and I don't think I've even touched on this at all, is from the beginning it was so frustrating because I couldn't get a first serve point off you. I kept thinking, okay, maybe I just need to hit it harder.
Yeah,
I
that
was
doesn't work.
serving high percentage.
I learned that.
You gave me some short, and I missed a few approaches early, and that's how I lost my first service game. But in general, you didn't make many errors. I think I body served you like once, and it works, and maybe got a couple on like the wide serve near the end.
Yeah.
But you got pretty much everything back. Maybe should have attacked them when they were short a little more, but
Yeah.
other than that, that was a really solid part of your game.
That's kind of how I felt playing him. Is like, he's going to give you a lot of shorter returns if you hit a big serve, and if you can muster the strength to like run up there and hit it consistently, like you can have opportunities.
Yeah.
Now, whether or not you win the point is, a different story, but like you have opportunities, and I think that's a very good like thought process. Maybe playing him again sometime.
Yeah, I think if I had to do it again, I would do more of that, even though that's not, as you know, that's not my comfortable, that's not where I like to be in the match, but that is probably the strategy, is on those serves, follow it in, like you're saying. So
Yeah.
In terms of the level difference on paper, Adam is rated at a 5.0. I would argue mid-level 5.0 for singles. And Chris is in the upper echelon of 4.5 singles, based on the dynamic rating or USTA stuff. Now, coming from Chris's angle, do you feel like that's what a true 5.0 level singles tennis player would be playing like, given his game style, versus someone that's like Adam, kind of like a moonballer, that's like 4.5-ish level? Do you think that there's a difference between how you'd play against someone like him? You're obviously physically tired because you've laid down two or three times, versus someone that is a little bit, that's one step below Adam's level.
are you talking about a low 5.0 or a high 4.5?
High 4.5.
You're saying, what's the question again?
Did you feel a difference between playing a mid 5.0 Adam versus playing a high 4.5 someone like yourself?
Yeah, and I've had league matches this year where I thought I played really well against someone who I would think is at that 5.0 level, but this was a
Very
different level. Yep.
What was the difference, other than him making
it
less
might have been the
errors?
consistency
Really?
factor,
Okay.
and I don't think I particularly match up against that well, because my closing ability to close out points is not that good, but I am, a grinder type player. So just, getting beat at my game, I have a big appreciation for that. It seemed like mid 5.0 for sure.
Okay.
That's what I would say.
I'd say 4 or 5 because I'm trying to play 4-5 leagues. So, yeah.
You should have told me that before. He's clearly a 4.0. Write him down.
You have a doctor friend? sign a few pieces of paper?
Chain smoker and whatever.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I guess Adam, what was with you? You mentioned you did a lot of serving volleying. What drew you to do that?
I would say, I felt like I could have let Chris into the match by just, hitting 30 ball rallies every point from the baseline, and I felt like, you were solid back there, and I didn't really want to go that route because I felt like it could have been like a 3.5 hour match. So like, I mean, to be honest, that's mainly what I was thinking, was just I didn't want to stay out there for 3.5 hours. But also like, I was, seeing that Chris was kind of, hitting some shorter returns and some like, semi popped up slice balls. And so like, I felt that if I came in, I didn't need to hit like, a super solid volley. I just needed to keep them moving and just keep the point going with me at the net. And so that was kind of the strategy behind it.
Were you aware of where you're standing on the court during most of the points in the second set? Do you know, like, if I were to ask you, like, can you give me a general area of where you were standing in the court, on the court?
I'd probably say no man's land.
Yeah. You were halfway in between the service line and the quick start line and the baseline. So it felt like the teeter-totter was like, you were the fat kid on the teeter-totter, and he was just like this little skinny kid, like kicking his leg and screaming. But that was, that's what he can do to you. I think Adam does a really good job taking the balls on the rise, which is tough. He can change the direction of the ball at will, which is tough. And I think you did a really good job. I was commenting to Mark that I think that the serve and volley was a really smart play. He was standing really far back. You took advantage of that, which I thought was excellent. And if you did lose the point, it was on your own accord. It's not like, you missed I can't. You probably missed 2 volleys, but like, you know, when you missed them, they were makeable volleys. And so I think that was a good tactic by you, and I think it really showed a lot in the second set that you were able to handle it so well.
I don't know if you guys noticed too. I was standing about 1.5 feet behind the baseline when I was serving today. So all the
For real?
yeah, all the football comments.
Oh, okay, yeah.
From the matches
You guys can all go
back.
yourselves.
So
No chance
so
of a
take
football
Take
today.
note on how far back behind the
That's
baseline.
right.
I was
Edit
standing.
some blue in there.
Yeah.
Well, it was a lot of fun watching you guys play. We had predicted somewhere around like the 6-3, 7-5, you know, 6-4, somewhere in there, which, you know, the 6-3 in the first set was a nice solid, you know, set, but you really did a good job closing out the second set, and you know, he has this ability to like demoralize you, you know,
Yeah.
and it just sucks. And
Yeah,
you-
I had a couple game points that I didn't convert, you
Yeah.
know, but that's how it goes.
well,
It's
you learn a lot
Yeah.
by playing a guy like Adam.
Who won the
Great,
toss?
great playing, man.
Good plan.
Who won the toss?
I did,
And you chose your turn?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, smart man.
I did the Mark Sansit strategy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, except you didn't win, but
Except,
Well, you won the
oh, you
first
didn't
game.
either.
You won the first game.
I did. I felt so good after that, and then downhill.
Well, the first 6 games were really good. I mean, I thought it was back and forth, and you got, I think he held, and then he broke you to go 5-3, and then
Yeah.
6-3 he held, and then you started off serving. So, but
Yeah.
it's a good match. I enjoyed that. I'm glad we got out of here before 9 p.m.
yeah.
We were a little
I played
nervous
a couple of
about
those 3-hour matches before. In
Well,
high
that first
school.
game, I'm like,
I downloaded
First
DoorDash
point.
just in case we had to order some food.
Yeah.
all right, guys, if you haven't already, hit like, hit subscribe, and thank you to Ira for commentating out of his busy twin-filled life, and Chris and Adam for contesting.
Good
Yeah,
plan,
thanks
man.
for having us.
Lot
Yeah, you
of
too,
fun.
man. Yeah,
Have
definitely.
a very,
Yeah.
very good rematch relatively soon.
Awesome.
Peace.
Is it me against Ira?
I'm gonna.
Well, you want revenge, so
I just want to play him
obviously.
again. That's all.
I said, can we do it in 6 months? He's yeah, sure.
I just gotta get in shape.